So let's talk about that feeling, that soul-crushing exhaustion that comes from being constantly busy.
Hmm.
Your calendar is packed, you're working late, but you feel like you are perpetually stuck.
It's like running full speed on a treadmill.
Exactly, going nowhere. If that sounds familiar, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. It's the ultimate paradox, all this activity,
Hmm.
but zero forward momentum.
It's probably the most common form of professional stagnation we see, and it almost always comes from a fundamental misdirection of effort.
A misdirection, okay.
Yeah. We've been looking at this really fascinating source material. It's a philosophical dialogue between a teacher and a student, and it just tackles this head on.
And the teacher doesn't ask about willpower or motivation.
No, not at all. They ask a much more uncomfortable question. They asked,
Mhm.
are you absolutely certain the ladder you are climbing is leaning against the right wall?
Wow, that's such a profound way to reframe it. Because we obsess over the how fast can I climb, what's the best
But
technique.
and we totally forget the where.
We forget to check if we're even on the right wall to begin with.
Precisely. We're
Yeah.
focused on being efficient, not effective.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to
Mhm.
really unpack this. We want to understand this busy trap, look at why just relying on willpower is a recipe for failure, and then,
Give the actual principles to fix it.
exactly, the three principles you need to build a system that actually works. So your effort translates into real forward movement.
Okay, let's start with that problem then. The one the student describes because it feels so universal. He basically says, I'm trying so hard, teacher. I apply myself fully. Why am I stuck?
Why do I feel like I'm losing ground? Yeah.
Right.
And the teacher's response is brilliant. They immediately shift the conversation away from ability and toward alignment. They use that famous analogy, if the ladder leans against the wrong wall, every step we take.
It just gets us to the wrong place faster.
Exactly.
That is. That's actually terrifying when you think about it. It means if you get that first part wrong where you're going, then working harder is actually destructive.
You are actively accelerating your own error. It's not just wasted time.
That is the definition of the trap.
It is. And the teacher lays out this really vicious, self-defeating cycle that comes from it. Starts with just busyness, frantic effort.
Okay, so you're just hustling, going a million miles an hour.
Right. Which, of course, leads to exhaustion and burnout. But because that effort was all misdirected, what do you have to show for it?
Nothing, no real progress.
No genuine progress.
Yeah,
And that lack of results causes panic and confusion.
and this is where the loop gets you. Because when you're panicked, your instinct is never to pause and reassess the wall. Your instinct is to just.
Try harder.
Exactly. Double down on the intensity, right? You skip breaks, you work later, thinking brute force is the answer.
But the wall is still the wrong wall. So all that does is cycle you right back to being stuck. Again, only now you're deeper in burnout. The problem isn't the trying, it's the structure.
So if I'm listening and I recognize myself in that loop, always on the edge of burnout, but never hitting those big goals, what's the shift? How do I break out of just trying harder?
You have to shift from relying on willpower to relying on systems. The teacher is so clear about this. Success is not built on good intentions or motivation or emotion
Or luck?
or luck. Yeah, those things come and go. Real success is built on consistent, defined systems. Motivation gets you started, but a system is what keeps you going.
Let's use that specific story from the source, the professional who went into client management. It's a perfect illustration of this failure.
It really is. So this person was brilliant at their job, an absolute expert. But they thought that was enough. They had no system for, business development or nurturing their network.
So they fell into that classic boom and bust cycle.
100%. They'd get completely slammed with client work in the spring and summer. We're talking 70-hour weeks just to deliver.
And while they were that busy delivering,
They made the critical mistake. They stopped all the systemic work. No relationship building, no prospecting for the next project, nothing. So, of course, as soon as that summer work ended,
the pipeline was totally dry, suddenly idle all winter.
and then the panic sets in, which leads to that frantic, unsustainable push to find new business all at once.
They're always reacting, never planning.
Exactly. And this introduces probably the most important concept in this whole dialogue, the flywheel effect, or as the source calls it, ban a.
Right, the bon a, which I think is Vietnamese for flywheel, which tells you a bit about the origin of the source.
It does. So the flywheel is this analogy for sustained momentum. And the teacher uses it to explain why the bust part of the cycle is so painful. When you're busy and you neglect your system,
Flywheel stops spinning.
it grinds to a halt. And here is the profound, painful truth the teacher shares. Once that flywheel stops, it requires 3 times the energy to start it spinning again.
3 times.
3 times the energy it takes just to maintain the spin.
That explains so much. It explains why getting back on track after you've been burned out feels completely impossible. You're not just restarting, you're fighting this huge inertia.
You feel overwhelmed because you are literally spending triple the effort just to get back to zero. So the goal has to change. It's not about working harder when you're slow. It's about never letting the system stop, even when you're swamped.
Okay, so let's transition to building that system. What are the principles, the mechanics that keep the flywheel from ever stopping in the first place?
Well, principle one is just understanding the power of the flywheel effect itself. Momentum. That first push to get any new habit or system going is always the hardest part.
You feel all that resistance.
You do. But once that reel is turning, once you have momentum, you start getting massive results from just small, continuous effort. It completely flips that triple energy problem into a positive.
So that's the physics of it. What about our internal chemistry? Principle 2 is early wins, right? Or fin comme somme, as the source puts it.
Yeah, early success. And this is so critical. The teacher explains that small, measurable wins at the beginning are key because they release a little burst of dopamine.
Our brain's internal motivator.
It's the reward system. If you only focus on some huge, distant payoff, you'll lose motivation. But if your system is built to give you a small win every day or every week, like hitting your client outreach goal, your brain rewards you for that consistency.
And that makes the habit stick. It becomes self-sustaining. You don't need a cheerleader because the system itself is rewarding you.
Precisely. And then principle 3 takes that consistency and applies it externally. It's about belief created by consistent behavior.
So how does that play out in the real world?
It means people, your clients, your colleagues, they don't trust your promises or your intentions. They don't even trust your occasional moments of brilliance. They build trust based on your consistent action.
You do what you say you're going to do every time.
Regardless of circumstance. The teacher says this is how you become a trustworthy consultant. A reliable, steady presence will always generate more trust than a sporadic genius. That consistency is the absolute backbone of your system.
So the big realization here is that most of us don't fail because we lack skill. We fail because we lack the system to keep our ladder on the right wall, and then, well, we fail to run that system consistently.
1,000 times, yes. The capacity is there. The structure is just missing.
Okay, let's make this really tactical. What are the 3 practical keys the teacher gives the student to actually start realigning their ladder today?
The first one is this powerful paradox, scale and consistency. The rule is, think big, start small. Be consistent.
We hear start small a lot, but why is consistency the part that you just can't compromise on?
Because it's the only thing that actually builds the momentum. That's principle 1 and triggers the dopamine, which is principle 2. The teacher's adamant. 20 minutes of system maintenance every single day is infinitely more powerful than some frantic 6-hour session once a month when you panic.
You have to protect the flywheel.
Always. Which leads right into key action 2. System over emotion. You have to stop waiting to feel motivated to do the important work.
And the teacher gets very specific about what that work is.
Yes. 4 things you have to maintain no matter how busy you get. 1, a non-negotiable regular client care schedule. 2, a dedicated list of your core relationships to nurture.
Your network.
3, establish daily or weekly business development habits. And 4, a simple, clear set of defined goals to anchor everything.
These are the first things to go when you get busy. The urgent stuff starts screaming and you drop the important stuff.
But dropping them is what guarantees the next famine cycle. You have to treat system maintenance with the same importance as active client work.
And the final key action 3, seems to be about managing your own mental state. Focus on the controllable.
This is all about stripping away the anxiety. The teacher says you have to concentrate entirely on your own behavior and your system, not on external stuff you can't control, like client decisions or what the market is doing.
So you can't control if they sign the contract.
But you can 100% control whether you made the outreach calls and followed your care schedule.
Focusing on your own system frees you from that emotional roller coaster of waiting for outside results. It lets you finally understand that the goal isn't to do more, it's to do right, and to do it consistently.
It's the difference between a sprinter, who is always starting and stopping and getting exhausted, and a marathon runner with a smooth, constant pace.
So we've walked through this busy trap, and we see that consistency is what unlocks that flywheel effect, replacing burnout with real, self-sustaining momentum. You stop sprinting towards the wrong wall.
And that journey requires some real reflection. The teacher leaves the student, and now leaves you with one final question to think about. The ladder you are climbing, what wall is it leaning against?
It really forces you to confront your deepest assumptions, doesn't it?
It does. And if you realize it's the wrong wall, well, your task is clear. Realign it today. And if it is the right wall, then your focus has to shift immediately to building and maintaining the system that keeps that flywheel turning.
Because it's not just about you.
No. When you align with your true path and you build the right system, you don't just secure your own success. You actually inspire the people around you to pause, to look at their own frantic climbing and to find their right wall too.
Find that right wall, start small, and build the system today. That one tiny correct step is worth a lifetime of sprints in the wrong direction. Thanks for diving in with us, and we will catch you on the next one.